Now let's turn a little bit to RFK. There's some really interesting new reporting about how the Trump campaign was desperate to get a quasi-endorsement from RFK and what the details of that meeting look like. Let's put this up there on the screen from Mediaite. And here's what they say. Basically, there was, as we know, that private conversation between RFK and Trump, of which the video, some of what was released by RFK Jr.'s son. Well, it seems that behind the scenes, Donald Trump was desperate to get an endorsement from RFK Jr., who he believes is eating into his base of support. So in their July 15th meeting, Trump, quote, attempted to persuade Kennedy to endorse his campaign, citing polling. Kennedy refused. Instead, Trump and Kennedy came up with an idea about making a unity announcement in the wake of the assassination attempt. Trump was trying to get the endorsement from Kennedy. Kennedy was not keen on dropping out of the race and endorsing Trump. Trump's team then requested that Kennedy draft a, quote, unity government proposal, which would outline what they plan to work on together, including vaccines and government corruption. They requested that the pledge also outline what role Kennedy would like should Trump become president again. Kennedy campaign sent the pledge, never received a response. The document says, quote, that there are many issues Trump and Kennedy do not agree on, but the unity pledge was important for the nation after the assassination attempt. In addition, the pledge outlined a role for Kennedy leading the HHS department, which is one of the largest, I think the largest federal agency, Health and Human Services. According to them, Kennedy was not going to endorse Trump, but agreed to drafting the unity government proposal pledged by the Trump team. Trump wanted, quote, something fairly desperately to make people think Kennedy was in support of him, but in lieu of not giving him an endorsement, he agreed to the pledge. Trump was then anxious to move forward with announcing the pledge before the RNC was over and was texting that Monday night with urgency. Kennedy was prepared to do the pledge with the RNC, but then the conversation halted. Quote, it is unclear why the Trump campaign went dark. So that's some of the details of what we have there. I mean, here's the thing. Trump is right. He desperately needs RFK to endorse him. That's basically, I mean, if we look at the five-way polling, which we'll get to in a little bit, he is basically costing him a ton of votes, especially in critical states. I would not be surprised if RFK Jr. stays on the ballot, if the margin of victory is such that Trump is cost the votes in places like Michigan and elsewhere. But I mean, it's not entirely fair to say because maybe those people wouldn't vote at all. But, you know, there's an argument at least to be made that there is a decent chunk of RFK Jr. support that if RFK Jr. to endorse Trump might put him over the edge in a lot of these battleground states.
It's very logical, the two of know, these two having some sort of an alliance. On the one hand, RFK Jr.'s vote share has been diminishing. He suffered a blow. Listen, his entire energy for his campaign was like, you hate both of these guys, right? I'm here as an alternative. And now one of them is out of the race. So, you know, the people who were Democrats, but they were unhappy with Joe Biden for whatever reason, including primarily that he was just too old, they have come back into the fold. That has hurt him, and that has made it more clear that the candidate he hurts, quote unquote, is Trump. So there's a lot of logic on Trump's side, wanting to get him out of the race, wanting to offer him something in his administration so that RFK Jr. can continue to have a platform, some sort of political power, and, you know, parlay his campaign into some sort of role in the Trump administration. That makes all the sense in the world. And then, you know, for RFK Jr., it's the campaign is not really going that well at this point. The trajectory is in the wrong direction. So it's increasingly unlikely that you're going to be in any sort of position to win a single state or contest or even be, you know, particularly consequential in a single state. So if you're looking for some sort of an exit ramp, maybe the Trump administration is smart, and you're certainly not getting anything in a Kamala Harris administration, so that's kind of your only path.
Yeah, we'll see. It really depends on what he has to say. So he gave an interview to CBS News. He was asked about this specifically. Let's take a listen.
This video of RFK Jr. on the phone with Trump shortly after the attempt on his life heightened the drama.
I would love you to do so, and I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win.
Were you in those meetings prepared to end your campaign, endorse former President Trump, and accept a role in his administration?
No. President Trump called me a few hours after the assassination.
Was that ever any part of the discussion, those things I just described?
I won't talk about exactly what we discussed because it would be a violation of trust.
All right, so there you go.
Basically dodges.
He opened the door a little bit. I mean, it basically confirms the report there, the unity pledge, not an endorsement. It really is depending now on RFK Jr. and what he wants to accomplish. I mean, I don't think anybody is owed their vote. So Trump is going to have to court him. And it's clear RFK doesn't want to endorse him. So I'm going to give him that because at the very least, he's like, look, I disagree with you on a lot. I have said very publicly, there are things I do not agree with you on. We may have some overlap, but that doesn't mean I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Trumper. And he's like, so I'm gonna have to get something out of it. And it's clear too, Trump probably doesn't want to give it to him. I mean, if you think about it in bargaining terms, giving up HHS is titanic. I mean, it's one of the largest federal agencies. Also, RFK Jr. may be forgetting this, but you have to get confirmed by the United States Senate. And I just foresee some problems there with a lot of Democrats and Republicans voting for him. Sure. Just saying, that's one of the things I would be concerned about. Polling-wise, let's put this up there, because this just confers why he is working so hard, Trump is, to actually get RFK out of the race. In the Reuters Ipsos that was recently conducted after Kamala replaced Biden on the ticket, it puts Kennedy at 8% in the three-way contest against Harris and Trump, down from the 11 that he scored just a week earlier. Separately, a big caravan poll of 2,000 adults from July 22nd, again, after Kamala's out of the race, puts Kennedy at 6.7 versus the 9.2% that he scored when the same question was asked just 10 days or so before. I don't agree with the headline of, quote, wiping out the campaign. What it does wipe out is the disaffected Democratic support, which, let's be honest, that was a large part of it. RFK is pro-choice. Like, RFK is an environmentalist, like LA Hollywood lib in many respects. I can personally see many celebrities and people like Zachary Levi and others who endorsed him specifically because they are liberal, but they don't like Trump. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's a majority, but it's some people. And so for Kamala, there's enough there for some people that I think that confers it. What is it, 3, 4, 5% or something of people bleeding away? But that's enough if you can win back that, but continue to keep that disaffected Trump voter or Republican-leaning voter away from Trump. That's a bad situation for Trump. And that's why he should be desperate. I really think he should.
Yeah, it has made it much more clear that, RFK Jr., because it would go poll to poll. Some polls it would seem like it was worse for Biden having RFK Jr. in the race. Other ones it was worse for Trump. It really was pretty evenly split. Now it's quite clear that it's more of a liability for Trump to keep him in the race. But, I don't know what sort of, all I can say is there is some logic to the idea of RFK Jr. from his perspective, dropping out and endorsing Trump and getting something for it. There is definitely logic on the Trump side to push for that and want that. We know RFK Jr. has at this point rebuffed those, those inquiries, those requests up to this point. And I don't know what he's weighing. He's made a lot of promises to his supporters that they are, supporting a campaign that is in opposition to Trump, that is in opposition to both of the major political parties. He also does, as you say, come out of this like liberal Hollywood ecosystem, and those people really hate Donald Trump. So if you, it's one thing to be sort of like, low-key maybe hurting the Democratic Party ticket or whatever, or critical of Biden. It's another thing to be affirmatively in a Trump administration. And maybe he's already so estranged from the like liberal Hollywood circle or whatever that it doesn't matter, but maybe it does. Maybe it's an issue for his wife. I genuinely don't know what the calculus is enough to make a prediction. All I can say is that there is a logic to this, the entreaties being made by the Trump people.
Well, the Trump people should be desperate. And in many ways, it's their own fault because they helped try to prop him up when he was running against Biden. And then a lot of Republicans were like, hey, I like this guy. And now they're like, well, hold on a second. No, we didn't mean it that way. Let's put this up there on the screen just from RFK himself. There was previously a false tweet that said he was going to drop out of the race, and he responded saying, I'm in it to win it. I lead in popularity, and independents are now the largest voting bloc. Momentum is shifting in my favor as I close in on ballot access in all 50 states. I look forward to challenging President Trump and the DNC nominee at the next debate, #AmericaStrong. Now, very unlikely that ABC will let him, we don't really know what's going on with that debate. Trump currently basically says he won't debate her until she's officially the Democratic nominee. So I guess we'll wait until afterwards. This is where, too, I'm a little bit upset about the process, where we previously had 3 debates. We were going to get 2. Well, Biden and Trump had 1. So now there's only 1 left on the schedule. We can't just have 1 debate with a new presidential candidate. At a minimum, I think she should do 3. It would be better if she did like 5, but she's not stupid.
Well, Trump at this point,
Like,
Trump's the one who's saying, I may not debate you at all. So the onus is, at this point, it's more of a problem on his side.
What did his tweet say? It was something like, I won't debate her until I know she's the nominee. I think that's what it was. He's also trying to get her not to just do the ABC News debate. He wants to do a Fox News debate or both. He didn't officially resign himself from ABC. But I think they need to do a lot more debates because it's really not fair to the American people to only have one.
Agree.
Because with Kamala, it's not like Biden where you know, he just falls apart because he's literally like a walking corpse. I think most politicians of a C- standard can keep it together for 90 minutes. But 270 minutes, well, that's where it gets a little bit interesting. And that's where we might see some breakage and things. And this is a risk for Trump too. But we need to see a lot more than just one because that is straight up not fair at all to America.
Absolutely. I mean, she was put in place through a non-democratic
Exactly.
process.
Like,
that
she's
is the
gotta
reality.
defend something.
So,
Like,
you know, the very least we deserve is some transparency, some ability to evaluate the two of them side by side, contrasting their visions, their, you know, communication skills and political aptitude, which is an important part of the presidency, right? The theater is an important part of the presidency. There is no doubt that that we deserve all of that. So we'll see. But there is also no doubt that there's no chance they're going to let RFK Jr. on that stage.
Which is wrong. Which it really
is absolutely wrong as well. And again, anti-democratic, but yeah, we'll see where this goes with RFK Jr. I could see it going any number. I could see him hanging in there for whatever reasons. You know, he's running a campaign. He wants to stay until the end. He wants to see how it goes. Maybe he's seeing some movement in the polls internally that we're not seeing publicly, whatever. Maybe has some theory of the case that we're not privy to, or he just wants to keep his promise to oppose both of these major party nominees. So we'll see where it goes.
I hope he stays in, actually, because I want people to prove that there is a quote-unquote viable path to at least winning some X amount of a third party. If we look at the history of third parties in the past, it's very rare that they just come out into existence and win. That's not how it works. They win 10%. I mean, look at Europe, for example. You have these tiny little parties, they win 2 seats. They prosecute a case, then they win 20. Then next thing you know, they win 50. Next thing you know, they're, you know, the #2 coalition in the French parliament. That's how it should work.
Yeah.
And that's one of those where we can prove viability through a slow process and through democracy. And so anyway, that's part of the reason where if you do actually want a chance to break a duopoly, that would be the case for doing it.
Yes, and we need ranked choice voting to help make that a reality.
Well, then he actually would, I mean, imagine how much he could win in a ranked choice scenario. That would be crazy, actually, if you consider, especially in swing states and others. But yeah, anyway, that's never gonna happen.
We're a long way from that one.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.